Hi, this is Pastor Ken. Sorry we had to cancel today, but in light of the frigid temperatures and icy roads, we wanted to keep everybody safe. I was able to go out on a walk this afternoon, and the photo is my morning walk. Not quite what I thought it would be, but it was still quite beautiful. God shows up in the most interesting kinds of places and the most interesting kinds of weather. It reminded me of an old fable about a far-off land which was ruled by a tyrant. The tyrant had an ironclad grip over parts of his kingdom except for one frustrating area. He wasn't able to destroy people's faith and belief in God. So he summoned all of his wisest counselors. He was getting their ideas about how to eradicate this belief in God. He asked, "Where can I hide God so people will end up forgetting that God ever existed?" One counselor suggested that God be hidden on the moon. After some debate, that proposal was put down because it was believed that someday scientists would discover how to send a person to the moon and they might find God there. Another suggestion was that God be buried in the depths of the ocean. But then they thought that maybe someday explorers might navigate the depths of the ocean and God might be found there as well. Finally, the oldest and wisest of counselors had a flash of insight. He said, "Why don't we hide God where no one will ever think of finding him?" He explained that if we hide God in the ordinary events of people's everyday lives, they'll never find him. And so it was done. And today, people are still looking for God. Like I say, God shows up in the most unusual and sometimes ordinary places of life. There's a verse in the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 19, which is one of my life verses. "Behold, I'm going to do a new thing. Can you not see it? I'll make a way in the wilderness and streams in the desert." A new thing. In the midst of our ordinary lives, our most mundane moments, and sometimes in the midst of our most difficult and challenging moments, God is determined to do a new thing. Can we see it? On days like this, when we're kind of cloistered inside, when everything kind of stops, when it's quiet, when we don't have to worry about our to-do list, it gives us time to reflect and to contemplate and to think about the new thing that God is trying to do, not only in our world, but in our own lives. Opening a way, making a path in the wilderness, a path through the deep snow, a path through the turmoil, through the indecision, through the fear and anxiety. And then that beautiful following phrase, "I will bring you streams in the desert." And that was a classic little devotional book, and I still love that verse. Streams in the desert. When we're so tired or hungry or thirsty that we think we just can't continue, the living water of the Spirit can satiate our souls and refresh us and renew us. Let's take this time now that we're apart this morning and some of us alone to think about where God is going to show up next in our lives and believe that God will show up in many, many ways, many times ways that we least expect. We have a lot to be thankful for today. Even though the world's kind of stopped for a few hours, we're most of us well-fed and warm, surrounded by loving friends and family, in a church community that really genuinely cares for us. That's right, God even wants to do a new thing in the congregation of Emmanuel. That's just the nature of God. God just enjoys creating stuff. Takes great pleasure in that. So in these times when there's so much turmoil and violence in the world, it looks like God is just absent. We, by faith, declare that no, God is still there. God is still at work. And God is still doing a new thing. Have a wonderful, safe, and warm day today. And may the peace of God that passes understanding guard all of our hearts and minds in Christ Jesus.